On a foggy Wednesday night in July 1956, the Italian luxury liner Andrea Doria was struck violently on its starboard side by another passenger ship, the Stockholm, just off the coast of Nantucket. The massive hole in the hull instantly killed power, plunging the ship into darkness. Because of a severe list to starboard, half the lifeboats couldn't even be launched, throwing the passengers into chaos and threatening a catastrophic loss of life right out of the Titanic's playbook. Yet the Andrea Doria stayed afloat for 11 crucial hours, long enough for a massive coordinated response. By morning, a staggering 1,660 passengers and crew had been pulled from the water, marking the sinking as one of the greatest maritime rescues of the 20th century. But the story of the Andrea Doria didn't end when it slipped beneath the Atlantic. Over the decades, resting silently in the pitch-black abyss, the wreck has quietly accumulated a second death toll, claiming the lives of at least 18 deep-sea divers. In the technical diving community, this site has earned the grim title of the Mount Everest of scuba diving. To understand why it holds that lethal reputation, we have to examine the brutal mechanical and environmental traps waiting at the bottom. Stripped of its elegance, the ship has become a lethal maze. In a dark twist of fate, the Andrea Doria is an actively deadlier environment as an underwater tomb than it ever was during its violent destruction on the surface. The first line of defense the wreck holds against human intrusion is its sheer depth. The top of the ship sits nearly 200 feet below the surface, a zone where the physics of the human body simply begin to fail. This diagram illustrates what happens to breathable air under extreme pressure. At 200 feet, standard compressed air becomes highly toxic. Divers run a severe risk of nitrogen narcosis and oxygen poisoning unless they meticulously manage custom gas mixtures of oxygen, nitrogen, and helium. This biological trap caught 33-year-old Robert Sanulli. He was attempting his second dive on the wreck, but critically, he was breathing ordinary compressed air. At 210 feet down, the toxic environment overwhelmed his nervous system, causing severe disorientation. In a state of irrational panic, Sanulli lost his own regulator. Driven by a primal survival instinct, he grabbed his dive partner's breathing apparatus and violently ripped it away. His partner had to abort the dive immediately to survive, while Sanulli went limp and drifted away into the darkness. If a diver survives the pressure, they must then navigate the ship itself. The Andrea Doria is a 700-foot vessel resting entirely on its starboard side. Inside, spatial orientation completely breaks down. Floors become walls, and walls become ceilings. Add to this broken geometry a total absence of sunlight. The moment a diver's fins kick up the decades of accumulated sediment covering those walls, visibility drops to zero, turning the tilted corridors into an inescapable, opaque labyrinth. This maze doesn't only claim amateurs. Richard Roost was an elite technical diver with over 2 decades of experience, heavily trained in underwater recovery. People he dove with called him the Scuba God. Despite his immense skill and careful gas planning, Roost vanished inside the wreck. Search teams scoured the ship for 2 days before finally discovering his body at 213 feet. He was found hopelessly wedged face down between 2 tables deep inside a first-class lounge. There were no signs of equipment failure or entanglement. At that depth, against that much architectural chaos, even the most refined human expertise can be completely nullified. The ship is also continuously attacking itself. For over half a century, immense saltwater pressure and corrosion have been eating away at the hull, turning the internal layout into a collapsing hazard zone. As the interior decks buckle and cave in, they leave behind an unpredictable snare of jagged pipes, massive electrical cables, and discarded lines left by previous divers. Every narrow passage is a potential trap. In 1985, an experienced professional diving guide named John Ormsby dropped into the ship's foyer near the dining area. Within minutes, he found himself badly tangled in a mess of old transverse lines and heavy electrical cables. The speed of his entrapment was staggering. When recovery teams finally reached his body, they found his rescue knives completely untouched in their sheaths, and his cable cutters still in his pocket. The panic of sudden confinement had overtaken him before he could deploy a single tool. Even if a diver avoids the interior altogether, the exterior water column presents a constant, violent threat. Sweeping, unpredictable deep-sea currents batter the wreck site relentlessly, making the single, fragile anchor line the only tether to the surface. In 2011, highly experienced technical diver Michael Elrad began his descent. Somewhere in the water column, he simply lost his grip on the descent line. Without that physical anchor, the current instantly tore him away from his partner and swept him off into the black water. Surviving a trip to the Andrea Doria means flawlessly managing toxic pressures, labyrinthine layouts, collapsing hazards, and violent currents all at once. A single failure against any one of these elements guarantees death. Every expedition to this site is a stark demonstration of the ocean's absolute supremacy over human engineering. The ship was once a symbol of post-war pride, but the Atlantic has steadily broken it down, and the window to see it is closing. The entire superstructure is actively collapsing, compressing under massive water pressure into a flatter, infinitely more jagged pile of scrap, severely narrowing the very corridors divers tried to penetrate. The dark irony is that this rapid deterioration is exactly what motivates people to dive it. As the ship inches closer to total collapse, technical divers rush to witness the wreck before it is lost forever. As long as the rusted silhouette of the Andrea Doria remains intact, the human drive to explore it will continue to clash against the lethal, unforgiving physics of the deep sea.